Hey everybody, this is Zach with Tanuki Games, and today we're taking a look at Silent Hill Shattered Memories for the Wii. All the month of October, we will be turning into Spooki Tanuki Games. That's right, we're only looking at scary games for the month of October, and I've never played any of the Silent Hill games, so this is a disclaimer. I am only looking at Shattered Memories as a standalone game, not the pedigree of the Silent Hill franchise or where it fits in the pantheon of great games. However, this is a re-envisioning of the original game, not a remake. It changes many of the important details and plot lines and even characters from the original game. Please remember, if you like the video, to like, subscribe, or comment. It means a lot. Without further ado, let's get started. In Silent Hill Shattered Memories, you play as Harry Mason, and you're taking a car ride with your daughter, and you have a crash, and she's missing. Your daughter's name is Cheryl, and for the rest of the game, you're going to be looking for her. As you play through the game, you will encounter different characters, and depending on the way you interact with them will change the way that characters look, speak, and act, as well as the way that some of the settings will be presented to you. This is a really great aspect of the game. I don't want to give any of the storyline away, but the game has 5 different endings, and I think I probably will end up playing this game again down the road just to see the different endings. On to gameplay. The gameplay in Silent Hill is basically spread out into 3 separate sections that interact with each other but don't overlap one another. The first part is the psychiatrist's office, and this is where the game has a psychological profile of you. Depending on how you answer questions in the psychiatrist's office will actually change the way that characters present themselves. And there's a lot of variations to each of the scenes in the game and each of the characters. It's actually really interesting, and I got pretty interested in some of the variations, so I actually went online and looked at how different characters looked and stuff like that, and it's really cool, and I can't really think of any other game that has presented this idea so well. The next part is exploration. You explore with Harry, and he has a flashlight that you can shine onto things, and that is controlled with the Wiimote. And this is a really cool aspect to the game, that you feel like you really are in control of the camera and the flashlight, and the shadow effects are fairly sophisticated for a 2009 game. There is no combat during the exploration, but there is a lot of tension, and that's mostly drawn from the music as well as some of the more haunting scenes that you can find. You can actually take pictures of these kind of ghoulish apparitions, as well as you can find different mementos, and you can get this sense of interference while you're going through the game. And as the light starts to flicker on your flashlight, and you'll start hearing kind of a staticky sound through your Wiimote, and then eventually you'll kind of have a moment where the whole screen turns white and you'll hear a kind of really loud, scary sound, and then you'll get a voice message that kind of reinforces some part of the story or enriches the story a little bit further. The exploration part is really cool, and some people complain that it ruins the tension, that you don't have any threat of combat, but to me, I just really enjoyed going through it, and I still did find myself getting scared because of the sound design is very sophisticated, and it is also very intuitive to your play. So if you're just running from A to B, you're not going to hear a lot of scary stuff, and you're not going to get really freaked out. The last section of the gameplay is in the form of nightmares, and these are puzzles where you can't actually protect yourself. All you can do is run, and the monsters in the nightmares are faster than you are, so you have to run very precisely, and you have to get out of these mazes as quickly as possible. The mazes, however, are kind of indistinct and drab, and so it can be a little bit frustrating because there's no environmental clue if you're on the right path or not. This is the most frustrating part of the game, because when you get attacked by one of the enemies, you have to use your Wiimote to flail them off. So if they attack you from the front and they grab you, then you need to push your Wiimote to the front so that you can get them off of you. But this then gets your sensor out of alignment, and then it's hard to control where you're going. You end up getting a lot more damage than you should just because you can't turn a corner quick enough to get away. So that's my only real gripe with this game. The nightmares are cool and they are really intense, but I have to say that they're the biggest misstep in the game, and I appreciate what they were trying to do, but it just is more of a chore than anything else. Luckily, there are only 6 nightmares in the game, and only maybe half of those are really challenging, so it's a mixed bag. There are a couple of really cool things about Silent Hill Shattered Memories that I'd like to point out. One is that it has a VHS aestheticism about it, and when this game was released in 2009, there wasn't a lot of nostalgia for the prior generation of lo-fi stuff, and I think that's really cool, and it adds a lot to the aestheticism of the game. The game also reminds me of a Telltale game in that it just visually looks like it would work. It's very character-oriented and dialogue-intensive. The narrative is very similar to a Telltale game as well, and if the nightmares had been QuickTime events instead of motion-controlled events, it would really feel like a Telltale game. I don't know if those guys and gals played this game and got some inspiration, but it does feel very similar. So if you like any of those Telltale games, then I think you would probably enjoy Shattered Memories. Lastly, the game oozes with ambience. The thick shadows and the grainy visuals really do give you a sense of claustrophobia and a sense that you just don't know what is in the shadow. And I really enjoyed this part of the game. I can't say that it's something that is absolutely perfect or is a must play. If you are looking for something that is seasonally appropriate for October, this is a great buy. There's tons of replay value, and it tells a good story that will surprise you in the end and is honestly pretty heartfelt, at least the ending I got. Silent Hill Shattered Memories is not going to bust the bank, and it's definitely worth your time. If you've played Silent Hill Shattered Memories, what did you think of it? How does it compare to the other games? If you haven't played Silent Hill Shattered Memories, what does it look like to you? What are some other good Silent Hill games? I've got a copy of Silent Hill 2 for the original Xbox that I'd like to play eventually. We'll see if I get around to it. This is Zach with Spooki Tanuki Games. Enjoy!